this is Oscar from Underdog, and today is all about techno, and specifically more the hypnotic raw techno, not so much the melodic techno. You see, from my point of view, within techno, you have to make a big choice about what is going to be the lead voice of your musical composition. Where's the attention of the listener going to be pulled towards? And I would say in 90% of music, the focus is pulled towards some kind of lead melody. So using notes over a chord progression that keeps the harmonic interest of the song alive. So instead of going down that route, in a lot of hypnotic techno, instead we go down a different route. And that different route is that we develop a lead element that is made up more of, well, non-melodic sounds. So when you're designing your techno lead, you might want something that holds the attention but does not resort to playing many different notes, because then you're going down that melodic path. And instead you want to go down a path where the timbre or the feeling of the sound is the most important thing, but not necessarily changing notes much. How do we do that? Well, one big technique is effect phrases. If you think of an average musical section, let's think of a part of your song that's like 16 beats long. Right? So 4 bars. That's 16 kick drums, 16 hi-hats, chill, right? Boom, boom, that's 16 times. Now that we can consider a section or a musical phrase. And so what we're going to do, we're going to play some sounds over that with effects that feel like a musical sentence with a start, a middle, and an end. So to create a techno effect phrase, I would suggest that we just start with just a sound, then a whole bunch of delays of that sound, and then a turnaround at the end. That's already 3 good ideas, right? You can kind of think of it as a call, a response, and a turnaround. Here's a track of mine that was just released last week. You can go support it on Bandcamp, by the way, if that's the kind of thing that you're into. And in this song, I basically do this technique. Let me solo the effects. So I've got this vocal sound, then a lot of delays, and then at the end of the phrase, a riser, a turnaround, and then at the start again, that sound, which is then continued by these delays, and then at the end of the phrase, there's a turnaround. There we go. Creating that original sound I did in a video on vowel filters, so go check that out. It's about formant techniques, which basically mimic the human throat. So you get this like kind of sounds. What was I saying? Lost my train of thought there. Yeah, formant filters. That sound is made with formant filters. I won't explain those here. What instead it is, it could be any sound, right? A hit of a percussion, for example. Then you feed that into extended long delays. And then at the end, you're going to create a turnaround. So you take any sound, and to create these secondary delay layers, what I would recommend you to do is to use the techniques that I told you last week, which was about curated randomness. Basically, you duplicate your original sound several times, feed it into very big delay and granular fractal kind of effects, flick through presets until some of them sound cool, bounce those to audio, and then curate the best parts from them. Some of those layers you're then going to be using as the delay, so the response phase, and then some of them you're going to fade up at the end as the turnaround element. Think of it like a call, a response, and a turnaround. I'd say that's like the simplest form of a musical phrase you can think of. And of course, you can go more complicated than that, with multiple events happening, multiple calls, multiple responses. That's no problem. But one issue that I run into a lot when I do this kind of stuff is that the affected layers, the delays, they can sometimes sound too quiet. And I want to give you the advice in this kind of a situation. When elements are too dynamic, when they have really nice transients, but also they're really quiet, one thing you can do is upward compression, which is something that you can just do natively in Ableton if you want. The idea is that whenever a signal tries to get quiet, you compress it upwards rather than the usual compression, which is when you go over a threshold, you compress it downwards. That takes the body of reverb and delay sounds and really brings it into focus. In this case, we really want overwhelming effect sounds. So for example, a sound that's a bit too dynamic might sound like this. And then if we use Ableton's multiband to upward compress it, it would sound like this. It's easy enough to set up as well. You just take yourself your standard multiband unit, you actually disable its multiband functionality, so you take away the high and the low band, so you're left with only one big band. Then you can set a threshold and an upward compression amount like this. So when you create an effects phrase that has a sound, which is a call, and a sound, which is a response, and a turnaround at the end. You see how this is enough for our mind to listen to it like we're listening to a human voice? It takes away the need for an actual melody that changes notes, and instead we just get sound timbres that evolve, and they evolve and speak in the same way that the human voice speaks. Now, as always, the more you put into a song, the more you're compromising the attention between the different elements. So if you want your song to be about the drums, and often in techno, let's be honest, you do, then the more distracting or eloquent your main lead is, the more that distracts from the drums. So whatever you do, don't skimp on your drum design. Make sure they have the right attitude. Make sure they're designed in a way that they can carry the entire track. Make sure they have a strong pulse. Make sure they have a little bit of syncopation in it. And if some of those words don't make a lot of sense to you, go follow my Foundations of Electronic Music course or my Foundations Level 2 course. Once I publish the Foundations Level 2, I hope to bring you a lot more techno content because I've been missing that for a while now. If you want to follow my techno projects, go follow Torque and also the label XY Secret, which is the label that I started with my friends Toro and Piera. We are accepting demos, so feel free to send us something on the link below. Like the video and leave a comment to show this some love on the algorithm. And until next time, stay producing, be good to each other, and take care. Bye-bye. That's going to be just prime YouTube content, isn't it?